Without a shadow of doubt, we are in the middle of the most catastrophic collapse in RV industry history. It's going to be a crash of such epic proportions that we're going to lose half of the manufacturers, half of the dealerships. It's going to be so bad that prices are going to crash down to pre-2010 levels, and no one's immune. Travel trailers, toy haulers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, doesn't matter. You're going to be able to buy these units at publicly open auctions for pennies on the dollar. It'll be absolute pandemonium. At least that's what some of the internet and a lot of social media want you to believe. Welcome to HB RV Lifestyle, the podcast. I'm the host, John Levingston, aka the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as some other things. Now, the information I'm going to share with you, I'm going to link in the description box below so you can read later. It is an article by RVbusiness.com. We do have to read between the propaganda, but there's some good information in here that actually gives us a better picture of what things are really going to be for the rest of 2026 and beyond. Now, what I mean by propaganda is you're going to notice they lump segments together to try to make things seem lighter, because there's realistically two segments of the RV industry that are hurting, but everyone else is actually okay. They're either stabilized or they have small growth. But we'll get into that in just a minute. Okay, first off, it says SSI, which is not Social Security, it's actually a stats survey. Now, I'm going to read just sections of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read the whole thing on your own time. But this is where we got to kind of play a little loosey-goosey. So the overall RV market showed stability and resilience. 2025 marked a year of steady year-over-year purchasing patterns with a 1% decline across new and used units. Notice they combined them. They didn't individualize them. So used units had big growth in 2025. New units, depending on the segment, either was stable, had small growth, or collapsed. Okay. Now, there is going to be an RV dealership owner that's going to completely disagree with me in the comments section, but don't believe this person, because this person is an anomaly. It is so rare for what they told me in the comments, because I've now talked to over 24 dealership principals, dealership owners across the United States and Canada, and they actually all agree with me. And I'm going to tell you what they agree with me here in just a second. New travel trailers, Class C units, and truck campers each gained less than 1.5% in share of total new registrations. Again, they lumped three of them together. There was really good growth in new travel trailers. There was steady growth in Class Cs. And truck campers surprisingly had a big jump compared to what they're supposed to be. So new truck campers are a really big niche item that isn't overly or massively produced, and you don't have a lot of manufacturers that are mainstream. You have Palomino, which builds an entry-level one that most people can buy for less than $30,000 out the door. And you have Arctic Fox, which is Northwood Manufacturing, that also builds Wolf Creek. You got Northern Light, which is a pretty good product. You got Lance, which, well, we'll talk about that another day. It's too soon to talk about how bad that went. Anyway, then you have other manufacturers as well, but you don't have a lot of mainstream ones. You had a lot of niche ones that are factory order only. Scout, North Star, just a bunch of them, right? Okay. Meanwhile, new fifth wheels, Class B motorhomes or van conversions or van motorhomes, and Class A units saw a modest share contraction. Okay, this is true about new Class A gas, and it's true about new fifth wheels that selling price are over $150,000. So a lot of your Brinkley products, some of your Solitudes, some of your Forest River Riverstones, some of your higher, more expensive Montanas, your Luxes, your Redwoods, all those products that sell for over 150 grand saw a contraction, while units that are right around that $75,000 mark or under have actually had growth. So they kind of offset each other. So a lot of your luxury fifth wheels and your entry level to mid-tier fifth wheels actually had opposite effects. While you had a contraction with the big expensive stuff, the actual lighter weight, cheaper stuff actually had growth, and it kind of balanced out where you had a small contraction. Class A gas had a contraction while diesels had a little bit of gain, which is shocking because you'd think it'd be the other way around last year, but I think it's going to go the other way this year. So you had a small contraction there. What it does, if you combine all three of them, including the van motorhomes, is hides the fact that the biggest contraction in the RV industry beyond teardrop travel trailers is van motorhomes. So I talked to a dealership owner that owns several locations, and their main thing that they sell in motorized is Class B van converted motorhomes. And on top of this, when I researched their prices, they're probably between the best priced to the third or fourth best priced in the entire United States on that product. When I talked to them, they said, plain and simple, that van motorhomes have lost their luster. And they are so oversaturated that unless the manufacturer offers a deep rebate and discount, not only on the current inventory they have in stock, but on the new inventory coming in, they're not interested in buying. Why? Because the profit margin has collapsed to levels we haven't seen since the Great Recession. So we haven't seen profit margins this small on a van motorhome since 2008, 9, and 10. That's what they told me, plain and simple. And even if they sell them for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $10,000 back of original invoice, they still can't move them. That tells you something. Class B motorhomes have lost their shiny object. Now, a lot of that has to do with the oversaturation of the market. So all the dealership owners that I talked to over all February all said the same thing. There's too many brands. There's too many manufacturers. Not just mainstream, but also you have the niche guys that are building these off-road, off-grid ones are $250,000, $300,000. They have forgotten about the middle class America. An entry-level Class B motorhome by most of the manufacturers costs the dealership over $125,000 just to purchase it and have it on their lot. And then you sell it for $129,900 and make what? $3,000, $2,500? Most of the van buyers do not finance, they pay cash. So you spend $125,000 as a dealer to make $2,000 or $2,500. That's a 1% margin. And by the way, that's after you pay the salesperson, pay the manager, pay the bill, pay the PDI tech, pay for any parts that might need to be done, like batteries or propane or anything like that. So what's the point? While Class A gas motorhomes here in 2026 have done really well, Super C motorhomes, that Class C diesel, has done very well, and small Class C motorhomes, even if they're just on the gas transit chassis, have done extremely well as well. But the things like the Winnebago Echo, Leisure Van, which is actually a really great product, Storyteller, which is another great product, all have really shrunk their market share. It is what it is. Does it mean the entire industry is going to collapse? No. Am I worried about Alliance RV's purchase of Midwest Vans? Absolutely I was. And I still am. I talked to someone very close to the situation, and they assured me everything was going to be okay and that they see a very positive sign in that purchase. But I still have my doubts. Hopefully proof will be in the pudding. I hope I'm proven wrong with that. That's the thing. I don't think most people understand. I hope to be proven wrong, especially in that. But, you know, and just to give you, we'll get more into this, but just to give you context, back in the day, which wasn't that long ago, there was 4 guys building them. You had the Coachman Beyond, you had Pleasureway, you had Road Trek, and you had Winnebago. And Winnebago built the Travato and the Era. That was it. And then you had some companies out there that were building them factory direct. There wasn't a ton of people in the market. And realistically, Midwest Vans really didn't come in to be an RV company. They just joined in along with their other niches that they have in luxury transportation. There were other companies that kind of joined in a little bit and dabbled in it that were ambulance companies. But they didn't build and shove a bunch of inventory down dealers' throats. Proof in the pudding is when you went to the RV shows and you listen to the salespeople, the managers, and the finance guys telling you, not what they tell the manufacturer. They'll lie to the manufacturer. They'll lie to the general public. But when you talk amongst each other, the first thing every dealer tells each other is stay away from vans. Get Class C motorhomes. Find a bunch of used Class Cs, 22, 23, 24 footers, and stock those and sell them for less than 60 grand, and you're going to make a little money and have some fun. Okay. Travel trailers grow market share across all buyers. Travel trailers, already a popular category, saw a 2% increase in registrations for the 0 to 25K band across nearly all income brackets and age groups. That's really cool. I think it's a little higher than that because I don't think people realize that there's so many people in that price bracket that a lot of them actually bought used last year. So I think that doesn't really nail the coffin. And I'll explain that in a minute. The only exception is a minus 2% decline in sales amongst buyers aged 18 to 24. That's an easy thing to explain in a minute. It sparks a surprising development as the younger generations typically make up a large market share of travel trailer buyers, but that age group to make sense. Luxury units captured an increased sharing of the used market. There we go. Used premium units record a slight increase in registrations even amid broader economic viability. Across the used market, the 25 to 50K price band captured the largest share of registrations. Jesus Christ, the Honey Badger can predict all. Somebody get him a crystal fucking ball. Let's go. Why don't the manufacturers hire the Honey Badger? He seems to nail it on the head every fucking time. I know why, but we'll get to that in a minute. Higher priced units, used units in the 50K to 250K range also maintain strong representation within total registrations, which is kind of true. In contrast, more affordable used models priced 0 to 25K experienced a modest decline in share of total registrations, indicating a relative shift in purchasing mix within the pre-owned segment. Now let me explain why that's a little deceiving. It's a little deceiving because a lot of the dealerships across the United States that report to Stats Survey don't typically carry used units that are below 25 grand because it costs too much money as a dealership, and there's not a big enough profit margin. So your Camping Worlds are going to wholesale units, right? They're going to wholesale units that are that $5,000, that $7,000, that $9,000, that $12,000 unit that's used. They're going to wholesale it. And generally the dealerships that buy wholesale will not report to Stats Survey. Okay. Consignment units are generally not reported to Stats Survey. It's usually trades and purchases through either the auction or street buys. That's how it's normally done. Now, also, you got to realize what's a little off about that too is when it comes to the 25 to 50K range, I've been saying that for 3 freaking years. Why? Because there are folks that are looking for that $500 or less payment. People are not stupid. They're educating themselves. Price and payment are actual comparable in the RV industry compared to cars. Cars, when you go buy price, fuck buying price in RV because price and payment are going to correlate. You cannot buy a $250,000 fifth wheel for $500 a month. You have to buy a fifth wheel that's $50,000 or less to get $500 a month. And a lot of times, the more used you go, the older you get, the lesser price it has to be to reach that $500 a month. So you can't payment stuff like you can in the car industry with leases and playing magic with all kinds of crap. It isn't the same. It's very matter of fact. You can't buy a $25,000 travel trailer with 10% down for $100 a month. It doesn't pencil out and doesn't work. To get a $100 a month payment, you got to buy $10,000 or less. The math just adds up that way. That's why I always say that all 4 boxes are the important. If you go look at a lot of the ways I teach people to negotiate a deal that are consumers and negotiate a deal as salespeople, is I always tell them the first thing you should negotiate is down payment, second is payment, third is price. You do not let any of those boxes go until you've negotiated each box. You know, if you go pay attention how I deal with trades, you negotiate the down first. If you're so on and so forth, you negotiate all the boxes one at a time. If you focus only on, I just watched it the other day. Somebody came in, negotiated cash selling price. I thought they were paying cash. They come in to talk to me about payments. And I'm like, dude, that $45,000 truck camper can't be $200 a month. Oh, so we end up selling them a used one for, I think, $16,000. It's the only way to get to $200 a month. So this is why I say that 25 to 50 grand price range is because you look at most people's budgets, motorhome, fifth wheel, travel trailer, it's under $500 a month. And in most cases, it's under $300 a month. So that pencils out and correlates. That's why you see Rockwood and Flagstaff gaining market share compared to Brinkley, Cougar, Grand Design Imagine, Grand Design Solitude travel trailers, is because that Rockwood Flagstaff product is right in that sweet spot of that $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 mark that gets people to that payment that they're looking for and is reasonably priced compared to a Brinkley travel trailer or others, including some Alliance product. So that it makes sense, right? Then you also look at $50,000 to $250,000 range. Again, the same thing. You got the guy that maybe he looks at we'll use Grand Design Solitude, sees a Grand Design Solitude or Grand Design Momentum and sees the 150 grand price tag, sees it's $1,800 a month or even $1,600 a month and goes, no, my budget's $700 or $800. So they start looking used. They start looking at in 2019, 2020, 2016, 2017. And they start seeing price ranges at that 55, 58, 59, 60 grand. And they go, hey, look at that. I can get the payment I want and a cheaper price and a shorter term. I don't have to take out a 20-year term. I could take out a 7-year term, still be within my budget and get a great price. So all that make sense. So all we're seeing is stability. We're not seeing a major crash in the market. The wider market saw decreases in short-term consumer confidence in 2025. The overall RV market remained stable with some shifts. Consumer sentiment took a minus 0.24%, suggesting that overall RV registrations are not directly impacted by consumer confidence. Instead, financing constraints like interest rates and the federal funds rate correlate with shifts in registration trends. Sensitivity to these financing conditions seem to impact buyers more significantly than overall market confidence. Once again, I will repeat this for the 7 millionth freaking time. This industry, this lifestyle represents less than 1% of the total population of the United States and Canada every single year. It does not affect 85% like the car market does. It doesn't affect 90% like toilet paper and bread and milk and vitamins do. It's a very different lifestyle, different niche, different market. Period. This is why all those AI faceless videos are all bullshit. Every one of them. They're holy baloney. They're full of crap. RV heads, RV state, RV something lose law or whatever. They're all bullshitters. They saw that Liz Amazing makes all the money she does and decided, hey, instead of bringing in consumers, we'll just bash out the negativity of the RV industry. And then I'm starting to find out that there are people out there that are trying to short Camping World stock and make a fortune and collapse the stock per share price. What best way to collapse Camping World stock by putting out a bunch of fake bullshit news? Until next time, remember, RV always stands for toolkit and sense of humor.